Installing a front splitter on your car is one of the easiest and most cost-effective methods of totally changing how your car looks and making it look infinitely more aggressive. And today, that's exactly what I'm gonna be doing on my BMW F10 535i. I'm gonna be installing this splitter. You can see, I'm gonna cover it up a little bit because you have to wait until the end of the video to see how it looks, but I'm gonna be installing a brand new splitter on my F10 535i. Let's get straight into this. That's right, a splitter for my BMW F10 535i. For those of you who have been following the channel, you know that this is my fourth splitter, and only for the fact that the first two were the cheap eBay ones that fell off on the highway within minutes of getting on the highway. The third one is this. This is a Maxton Design V4 splitter. It's lovely. I have no complaints about it. It's beautiful. However, due to my stupidity and a few other reasons, this side is completely cracked and broken. I mean, you can tell it's totally ruined, pretty much. It's completely ruined. I made a video actually discussing that in one of my control arm. I replaced my control arm because, well, I was in the rain and I was in Sport Plus. I like to be honest. But because of that, obviously, I took a good chunk out of the splitter. Thank God it wasn't the bumper. I thought for a second I had to change the bumper. Bumper's fine. Splitter though, not so much. So I did ruin it, and then a few other times as well. Really steep inclines. I just couldn't avoid it. Cracked a few bits here, cracked there. Now, to no fault of Maxton Design, I got this because it looked solid, like a solid body of plastic, right? Because when you see it like this, and in the pictures, it does look solid. However, it's not. It's hollow, and I can put my fingers in. That's not what I wanted, because this, of course, is very brittle. You can see that is all that there is. And now, obviously, if you hit like some train tracks or something, which I have done, or if you go out a steep incline, it's just like a little wall, and it will just break. So it's not as strong as I wanted it to be, so I'm taking it off. But I have really enjoyed having this splitter. It's lovely, it's beautiful, so many compliments. And today we're gonna be installing this. This is an HM style splitter that I actually got on Etsy from Ukraine. It's really crazy and really random, but I found this on Etsy from Ukraine, and I was like, I have to have this. It's not actually painted, it's black, but I'm gonna put like a gloss clear coat. I'm gonna figure that out later. But the style, I had to have. I love it. This is in fact full body, because on other brands, unfortunately, they don't show the bottom of the splitter. This one, they did show the bottom, and it is a full body, and it has the screws pre-installed. So I'm excited to see that. I am really excited for this. It's a huge box. Like I said, it's from Ukraine. It took about 2 weeks to get here, which all in all is not that bad at all. Actually, more like 3 weeks, but still, that's not all that bad from Ukraine for a box this big. I actually paid no shipping, free shipping. This was pretty good. I'll put a link to it in the description, but I think it's one per listing, so it might go soon, but I'll still put it just in case y'all want one. Like I said, this is the HM style because it's a clear homage, let's say a reference to the Haman style splitter that they made for the F10. Yeah, Haman. They made some really cool parts for the F10 back in the day, and yeah, this is a clear reference to it. But I really like how it looks. I just had to have it. So let's get this open. All right, unboxing this. It's a pretty big box, so it's kind of hard to put it in the whole frame, but this is the best I could do. Let's go ahead and open this. I haven't seen it yet. Let's see it. All right, there it is. Now, one thing I gotta say, first impressions. It's big, it's really thick, and it's heavy. I gotta say, it's heavy. It has some weight for sure. I would say this is at least, I don't know, at least 7 pounds. It's not light for a splitter, but that's kind of what I like. That's a really reassuring feeling. And you can see what I was talking about. These screws are in fact already in place. Wow. You can see the general shape of it here, but let's get this off before I show you guys any more. This is looking really promising. Let's hope so. All right, well, here it is. Check it out. This looks pretty cool. I'm really excited. It has a little kick here on the side. Definitely more aggressive than this splitter, which is exactly what I wanted. But you can see this is solid. Some of these have nuts. Actually, no, I'm wrong. They all have nuts. They bring nuts. And look, this is the main thing. It's a completely solid body. So this shouldn't crack the same way that this one would. But I love the design because this one actually goes into here and it follows the shape of the body, right? Which is pretty neat. But this one actually accentuates it. This has channels for air. In theory, and on race cars with huge teams for R&D of aerodynamics, this would create downforce. On this, probably not. Maybe this channel of air combined with that channel of air does actually create more downforce. I don't know. I'm not doing it for the performance. Obviously, like most of us, you know, it's just for the looks, right? But it looks pretty awesome. But of course, before we can go on any further, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so y'all stay notified when the next few videos about this car drops, because there is a lot more content coming. But let's get straight back into this. Like I said, you can see that it's not totally gloss black. It's not I guess, painted. It is painted, I guess, but it's not clear coated. And it does have some imperfections that I'm gonna have to touch up somehow. I'll figure that out later. But all in all, I'm really impressed with it. It's actually nice and thick. It's low, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a splitter that would make the car appear lower. And I think this is that. You can see it does also have like a nice little kink right around here to, of course, follow the shape of the car, which you can't really see because of the splitter, but the splitter kind of does the same thing. It has a little kink there, a little kink here. But this is gonna look so good. I am so excited. I have not actually seen another F10, at least in person, with this splitter. I think I'll be the only one that I will have seen with this splitter, and of course, it's just gonna look a lot better than that, because this looks stupid. Not the splitter, but the broken splitter. The broken splitter looks pretty stupid. So I guess there's nothing left to do other than to take this thing off, which was put on quite well. I gotta be honest, it was put on very well. And then we'll take that off. And then after that, let's go ahead and put it on. All right, so a few things first though, actually. I have just taken out this bolt that came with it. And first of all, it's a pretty long, beefy bolt. And we did notice that the entire height of the splitter is in fact reinforced with metal. This is actually also threaded for this bolt. So if I were to squeeze right here, I get stopped because there's actual metal preventing it from squeezing too far. That's good design, because that will obviously prevent the entire thing from just collapsing in on itself and just cracking. There is actually a metal stopper that would prevent the entire thing from just, like I said, collapsing in on itself, right? So that's really good design. I'm excited. Let's go ahead and take this off. I'm gonna take this off right now, and then we can start putting this right on. Finally got this off. It wasn't super easy, but I did finally get it off. One thing that I'm extremely, very super happy about is that the 3M actually, or the double-sided tape, actually came off of the car very easily without breaking, without having to like scrape it off. That's a huge plus, because I thought I was gonna have to spend like hours scraping the excess off. It all came off very easily. I'm very grateful about that. But this is off. The problem with this splitter going into the shape of the car is that all the rocks and leaves and everything just gets stuck in here, right? Whereas with the new one, since it's open, it's just gonna fly right through, creating a cleaner, no buildup or no mess area. You know what I'm saying? But this is off. I have really thoroughly enjoyed my time with the splitter. Love Maxim Design, have nothing to say about them. They are a great company with great products, but it is time that I move on and get something that isn't looking like this, you know? So let's bring out the new one. I just gotta say, taking this off, the splitter now gone. It looks naked. The car looks incomplete totally. Oh my god, that looks wrong. I mean, not only because it's always missed it, you know, it's been missing it, but because I'm used to having a splitter. But this is a really weird sight, seeing it completely splitterless. It looks higher up, and yes, I know, I need a little bit more low in the front. More on that in the future. But yeah, enough talking. Let's just get this thing on. So I just finished taping this up. Of course, you can see all the double-sided tape. I went for Gorilla Tape because I pretty much swear by Gorilla Tape. They're not sponsoring this video, but I love Gorilla Tape. I use it for pretty much everything, and it has never failed me. It's so strong, it's insane. It's semi-permanent, pretty much. Once it's on, it's not gonna come off. So I really do want to do this correctly. I did, of course, you know, mix some double-sided tape because I ran out of Gorilla Tape. It doesn't bring a lot. It's kind of expensive, but it holds, and it holds very, very well. So I'm gonna go ahead and jack up the car right now. The car is obviously not jacked, and like I said earlier, the car looks naked. This is insane. A splitter, a front splitter, lip, front spoiler, however you like to call it, makes such a huge difference, especially on this car, in my opinion, because without it, it looks kind of naked. But the lack of a front splitter is atrocious. It's pretty bad. So of course, in that case, I'm going to be installing this one. Now, all that's left to do, like I just said, is to go ahead and lift up the car, jack it up. Once we're underneath the car, we can start cleaning it up and then see where to drill, because these holes do not line up with any of the other holes that I have on right now. And I'm hoping that 10, because it does have 10, 3 on each side, 3, 3, and 4. I'm hoping 10 should be enough. Maybe, who knows? All right, time to clean underside of the car. You can see it's very, very dirty. You can actually see where the previous double-sided tape was, kind of, but it's now time to clean. So I'm gonna go ahead, grab some alcohol, some cloths. Sorry about the noise in the background, but I'm gonna grab some cloths, alcohol, and start cleaning the bottom of it down. Okay, so here's where we're at so far. Really interesting situation. We've noticed that there's really no way of accessing the side screws. Because of the placement of everything, there's no space at all to be able to put screws in from the bottom and hold a nut at all, or even put a nut or anything, so at all in the corners. So what we did instead, we've actually put the screws in from the top down. We put a washer, we put a lock washer as well. That way, hopefully it stays while we tighten the nut instead from the bottom, instead of putting the screw in from the bottom up. Because of this though, we had to remove the little metal things, these things right here, because, well, if you think about it, the fact that these have a thread make it incredibly difficult, if even impossible, to tighten the nut and the screw together without also having this in the way. So on paper, this doesn't make sense at all. So we're removing them, and they don't actually create any real stability. We thought they did, and they had part of the structure. They really don't. So we're removing them, and instead we're gonna have, at least on these two, on either one, on the inside of the corners, we're gonna have the bolts coming down from the top. So we're gonna have the top down, and then we're gonna have a nut here instead. We're gonna put a spacer and a nut, and we're gonna tighten the nut instead of the screw from the bottom. On the outside corners, there's really no way of getting anywhere, so we're gonna be using a self-tapping screw. A really big self-tapping screw though, because we already drilled the hole for that, and it's already a pretty big hole, so we're gonna need a really decently big self-tapping screw. The middle four though, that's easy, we have access. You can see this panel right here, it's loose, and I still have enough room to put my hand in all the way behind and reach the screws. Because of that, the four in the middle, we can do normally. We can put the screw in from the bottom up, and then we can tighten the actual screw with the nut and lock washer on the top. That shouldn't be a problem. The only thing is, the ones on the corners, pretty difficult. This is probably the best solution we could come up with.
Every little now and then, it creeps on back to shade my smile.
All right, so I'm just gonna say really quickly, I did in fact finish it, and I didn't record only because, well, first of all, my dad was in the video, and he doesn't like being, in the video. So I, out of respect for him, I did not put him in the video. But it is on, and here it is. This looks so good. I love it. Oh my God. Check out the complete package. One thing, this does stick out a little bit less than the Max in Design. The Max in Design stuck out like 2 inches. It was pretty crazy. This one sticks out less, but it's definitely lower. It's like a taller splitter, so it makes the car look a little bit lower in the front. And it was a pretty dirty job. I mean, you can see it was, it was pretty dirty. Only because the 4 bolts that I told you guys about in the center that were gonna go up, I actually did not put them up. I put them going down because I decided it's actually a lot easier if I put the rubber washer, the lock washer, and the bolts going straight down. All I have to do is put the washer and the nut on the bottom, which, as you can kind of see, I did right here. You can see I put that right there, the bolts coming down from the bottom, which is not that hard actually, and then I put a washer and of course the nut right there. Now I am considering grinding down the bolts a little bit because they're very long, not very long, I mean they're kind of long, and they do stick out a little bit. You can see they stick out in a few spots, but for the most part, it's not all that bad. And basically, there are 10 holes on the splitter. 8 of them have bolts right now, and all 8 are going from the top down. The corners, I don't have bolts yet because I need to get some really fat self-tapping screws, because like I said, we already have the hole, and a self-tapping screw in a hole is not gonna do anything, so we need to get a really wide self-tapping screw, which we're gonna do later. But for the majority, it's on, it is secure. Of course, I have the Gorilla Tape all across. We've put correctly, hopefully, and just take a look at that. I love the little kick. I actually thought that I wouldn't like the kick at first, but now seeing it on the car, it's definitely really nice. And also, my suspension is also just a little bit jacked up because of, the car was jacked up. So it's a little bit weird right now, so try to ignore it, but it looks so good. I really am pleased with it. It looks awesome, especially like the actual holes. You can see there's functional, no, I'm not gonna say functional, but there's an actual hole on either side. It looks really good. Obviously on paper, this would help alleviate pressure that is being pushed down onto it from the wind being pushed towards it and down onto it. The hole will create, a little release for the air, but that's all on paper. Since this is technically a replica of the Hamann splitter, maybe Hamann actually R&D'd it. I'm sure they did their stuff. And since this is just a one-to-one copy, more or less, maybe it works, maybe it was wind tunneled. I have no idea, but it looks good. That's the main reason I put it on, because it looks awesome. I'll put a link to it, like I said, in the description. I'm not sure if it's gonna last, 'cause it's an Etsy listing. I know Etsy listings, they come and go. So, try to get one if you want one soon. Like I said, this came from Ukraine. I'm sure there's not, they're not all in Ukraine, but really happy with it actually. And one thing, like I said earlier, it's not gloss black, but it doesn't look that bad actually. You really can't tell, especially when I wash it, make it nice and clean. Shouldn't be that far from actual gloss black, so I can't complain. But honestly, I do think that's about it. Of course, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you get notified when I drop the next video about this, the Mini, or the M4. But like I said, I do think that's about it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all in the next one. Take care.